What if the biggest romantic risk facing women over 60 isn't loneliness at all, but misplaced trust? What if the behaviors many older women interpret as charm, confidence, or emotional openness are actually early warning signs they were never taught to recognize? And what if the most dangerous clues appear precisely because they feel so refreshing, so flattering, so different from past relationships? The mystery is this: why do the many intelligent, experienced women see the signs only after the damage is done? The answer? Inobvious at first, but the clues have been quietly repeating across decades. For years, social scientists believed relationship deception was mainly a problem of youth. But research began shifting in the early 2000s when psychologists studying later life relationships noticed a pattern. As divorce rates after 50 rose sharply, what researchers now call gray divorce, a new dating landscape emerged. Studies from the National Institute on Aging and the National Social Life, Health, and Aging Project showed that adults over 65 were re-entering romantic life with optimism, but also with blind spots. Not because they were naive, but because the rules had changed, and players adapted faster than anyone expected. To understand how this happens, you have to start much earlier, early adulthood. In their 20s and 30s, many women learn to detect obvious red flags: inconsistency, irresponsibility, lack of commitment. Players at that age relied on surface-level charm. Over time, women adapted, they became wiser. But here's the cause and effect twist: as women gained emotional intelligence, players evolved too. According to long-term behavioral studies, men who repeatedly avoided commitment refined subtler strategies as they aged. Instead of flashy behavior, they learned emotional mirroring, selective vulnerability, and strategic attentiveness. These patterns don't feel dangerous because they don't look like the old red flags. Then the 40s arrive, and changes begin quietly. This decade often brings caregiving, career transitions, and emotional fatigue. According to American Psychological Association surveys, women in their 40s report peak emotional responsibility caring for parents, children, or both. During this time, many learn to value peace over passion and depth over drama. This is healthy, but it also sets the stage for something unexpected later. Men who play emotional games learn to present themselves as calm, understanding, and different from the rest. They study what women say they want and reflect it back perfectly. At this stage, the behavior still seems benign. No harm yet, just a subtle alignment that feels rare. After 65, the shift becomes more pronounced and most women ignore it. Dating after 65 often feels like a second chance, not a battlefield. According to U.S. Census and aging surveys, women over 65 are more likely than men to seek companionship, emotional connection, and shared routines. Players exploit this by accelerating emotional closeness without building real accountability. They talk about the future without specifics. They show up intensely, then disappear briefly. This inconsistency is often explained away as health issues, travel, or needing space. The early signs are there, but they're disguised as maturity and independence. The breaking point usually comes months or even years later. This is when the problem becomes visible. The woman realizes she's sharing more than she's receiving emotionally, financially, or practically. Maybe he avoids introducing her to friends. Maybe he resists labels while enjoying full access to her time and support. Research from the Journal of Elder Abuse and Neglect shows that emotional manipulation and financial exploitation increase in later life dating, especially when trust builds faster than verification. This is not about age-related weakness. It's about asymmetry of intention. The fallout can be serious. Emotionally, betrayal at this stage hits harder because it violates hard-earned wisdom. Health-wise, stress from relationship deception raises cortisol, disrupts sleep, and worsens chronic conditions effects documented in multiple gerontology studies. Financially, even small loans, shared expenses, or cohabitation without legal clarity can create long-term damage. Lifestyle-wise, women often withdraw socially out of embarrassment, increasing isolation. Across millions of seniors, the same pattern repeats. The cost of ignoring early signs compounds over time. So, what are these 5 early signs of a player especially dangerous after 65? The first is accelerated intimacy without integration. He shares deep stories but keeps his life compartmentalized. The second is selective availability, intense attention, followed by unexplained gaps. The third is future talk without logistic streams, with no dates, plans, or actions. The fourth is subtle boundary testing, small requests that slowly increase. The fifth is narrative control. He frames past relationships entirely the other person's fault, positioning himself as the misunderstood constant. None of these alone prove deception. Together, they form a pattern. Why do so many women miss them? Because of failed fixes rooted in old advice. Many were taught to communicate more, be understanding, or not be too guarded. These approaches work in healthy relationships, but fail with players who use communication as data and understanding as leverage. Other women rely on time alone to reveal truth, but research shows skilled manipulators can sustain inconsistent behavior for years if benefits continue. So, what can you do today if you're over 60? First, slow the timeline deliberately. According to relationship studies, players resist pacing because it limits control. Second, verify consistency across contexts. How someone treats you should match how they live, plan, and include you. Third, maintain independent anchors, friends, finances, routines. Independence reduces vulnerability without reducing intimacy. Here's the warning, backed by evidence. Don't ignore discomfort just because nothing is technically wrong. Studies on intuition and decision-making show that subtle unease often precedes conscious recognition of risk by months. And here's the open thought to carry into the next video. If experience brings wisdom, why does deception feel more sophisticated later in life, and what other signs might still be hiding in plain sight? If you want the next chapter where we break down how healthy late-life relationships actually behave, subscribe and turn on notifications. The deeper clarity is coming next.